Hello, communicators. Welcome to the season 1 finale, aka episode 15 of the audio series The Communicator. Let's dive into the world of corporate communications from an in-house lens. I'm Yesenia Reinoso, your host, and thanks so much for tuning in. If you are new to the show or are a general member, hit that subscribe button. You can also share, like, and comment on this and previous episodes at your disposal. Spread it far and wide, friends. I'm available on social media, so follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter/X. All of my handles are listed in the episode description box below. And finally, this episode and all previous 14 volumes are now available across all primary podcast mediums. Every new episode comes out on the first and third Mondays of the month, which you can hear on your laptop, mobile, or any portable electronic device. Now that we got all those housekeeping details out of the way for the last time this season, welcome back to the podcast universe and greetings again to our current members and to our new ones. Welcome to The Communicator. Your host, Yesenia, is euphoric, as you can hear from her voice and tone. We have finally made it to the season 1 finale of The Communicator, 15 episodes deep and in. And to think, I never expected to release one episode, much less 15, but yet, oh, here we are. Alas, my communicator community, it is because of you that the communicator is just getting started. Our engines are revving up and we are ready to go full turbo towards the future. Obviously, I've been saying this so many times throughout season 1, but I can't help it is because you are the heart and soul of the communicator. You are single-handedly the reason as to why I wanted to build this audio series in the first place. I wanted us to have a safe space for us to talk about anything communications, ideas, solutions as to how we could strengthen our industry for the better. And I just want all of us to kick back, relax, and to just simply converse. And as I look towards the future for the communicator and figuring out the kinds of ways as to how I could better improve this show, you are obviously going to be involved in the process because you are what is going to give me the fuel needed to produce better content and to truly unleash the potential the communicator can really bring. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your unwavering support, and thank you for tuning in, whether it's immediately when this podcast premieres or any day, night, whatever it is, just having you listen and offering any sort of feedback just brings music to my ears. And I just, as I look at my beautiful cup with the words Barcelona, a cat, and butterflies, because I love cats, and butterflies to me symbolizes metamorphosis. I went to Spain earlier this year, and it was a life-changing trip, to say the least. Just being able to be a communicator or storyteller. That's what it's all about. It's about each and every one of us telling the story, and I'm telling my story through the communicator, and you are helping me write it. Whether it's listening, sharing, or whatever it is that you're contributing to bring this podcast to the level that it needs to be, I cannot even begin to offer you my gracias. So, thank you. Thank you, communicator community. I love all of you. And so with that, I have some big news surrounding the future of the podcast, where we're going to be heading towards. As you are all aware, I've been mentioning season 1, which gives you an indication, is there going to be future seasons? Well, I am very elated to announce that officially the communicator has been renewed for season number 2. Yes, we will be back hitting the podcast airwaves in 2024. There is no exact premiere date as to when the communicator will be back on every medium, but what I can tell you is that the communicator plans to tentatively return in the spring of 2024. So I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are not following me across social media, do so right now or immediately when you wrap up listening to this episode. Also, my other publications, the Thought Leadership Newsletter, The Legacy, exclusively on LinkedIn. Be a subscriber. Go and hit that button right now. And also follow us on Instagram through my short form video series, The Why Tips, where I'm going to be offering tips based out of my experience coming out every Wednesdays on Instagram. And I also have plans to, breaking news again, another one, launch officially a TikTok account. So be on the lookout for that. So if you haven't done so during the hiatus period, please follow me across all of my publications and as well as my social media accounts so you can get up to the latest news regarding season 2 of The Communicator. In addition, season 2 of The Communicator will be a 10-episode run, meaning I will be dividing up season number 2 into 2 parts. Part 1 will consist of 5 episodes, and part 2 will consist of another 5 episodes. And in between those 2 parts will be a small hiatus. And so this will be a great opportunity for me to have a better workflow structure, timing, and be able to deliver all of you the best content that is really going to elevate our season 2 storylines for this podcast. In addition, and I'm going to be thinking about this over the hiatus period, I would like to see if there is any way that we can incorporate some sort of interactive session, bringing more of the audience in, whether it's through a question box, voicemails, email, whatever it is. I'm going to think about it and then obviously reveal those details as we get closer and closer to the season 2 premiere. Again, can't emphasize this enough. Please follow me across all of my publications and social media accounts. That's where I'm going to be breaking all of the news regarding The Communicator. And we'll see as to how I'm going to be adding that extra customization to really make season 2 even better than season 1. And so now that we're going to be in hiatus, this will be the opportunity for you to catch up on all now 15 volumes of the season 1 library to prepare you for season number 2. And now that we got season 1 out of the way, I really would like I'm planning to do all future seasons of The Communicator in themes. So consider season 1 as the one-on-one, the basics to get you understanding the ins and outs of what corporate communications is. And now we're going to be diving into not only the subcategories of the corporate communications umbrella, but also other key components that also tie into corporate communications. It's operations and other important areas. And so I consider this particular topic the perfect bridge to cross us from season 1 to season number 2. And with that, we are going to dive into today's topic, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important documents that everybody knows of, everybody should know of, and the document that will, again, bridge us from season number 1 to season number 2. Season number 1 is going to obviously, again, focus on one-on-ones, the basics. Season number 2, the theme is going to be focusing on external communications. So we're going to be diving into the in-depth phenomenon that is known as external communications. And what a way for us to get us prepared for season number 2 than to be discussing the document of public relations, the press release. Obviously, you all know that the press release which is also referred to as a news release or a media release, is pretty much a document, whether it's written or digital, is a type of communications that is typically issued by an organization, agency, or business to inform the media and the public about specific news or events related to that organization. Press releases are a common tool used in PR to formulate strategies in order to disseminate information to journalists, bloggers, influencers, and other key members of the media. Obviously, we all know press releases. We have seen as to how press releases constantly evolve and they continue to remain a firm stakehold in the communications web. But as with everything, the constant evolution of our industry, now we're starting to see as to how the press release can be a tool that is either going to be kept in this traditional format, or is it going to customize and diversify itself into something completely different? Will it stay? Will it go? Will it leave? Or what does the future hold for the press release? As many people have been discussing as to what is going to be its future functions. And so I thought it could not be any more appropriate that for our season one finale, and of course, the bridge into season number two, and the perfect segue to introducing everybody into the world of external communications, there's nothing better than for us to talk about press releases. So, with that in mind, let's communicate about the press release, shall we? Great. And so, obviously, I gave you the definition as to what a press release is. We've known about it since high school. We were introduced it further in depth while we were in college. And then once you enter into the communications field, whether you work in-house or agency, learning how to do a press release is pretty much the first thing that every single communications professional must know how to do and do it right. I remember back when I first started in my communications career, when I did my very first press release, one of my only mentors slash a supervisor gave me the opportunity to write a press release that focuses on an executive announcement. And I think having communications professionals, especially those who are just either entering to the industry, whether it's from college or switching from another field, doing a press release that is centered around an executive announcement is a great way for them to get their feet wet, have a better understanding as to the structure of the press release, what needs to be inputted, how long does it take to be drafted, edited, reviewed, etc., and as well as how to distribute it across any kind of medium, whether it's through email or a news service. I think it's safe to say that the press release is the communications document that details every specific event, announcement, partnership, sponsorship, whatever major news that your organization has, in-house or agency. Everybody wants to know what the press release entails. And so some of the characteristics that the press release include centers on newsworthiness, the structure, the distribution, the objective, credibility, the timing, and multimedia elements. So let's focus on the first characteristic, which is newsworthiness. Press releases are typically used to announce something new, noteworthy. It can include product launches, milestones, financial slash investor results, personnel changes, awards, or any thought leadership piece, partnerships, and so much more. Then the second characteristic, I should say, is the structure. The press release, which typically follows a specific format, which includes a headline, dayline, lead paragraph, a body text with additional details, quotes from relevant individuals, I should say, and as well as the contact information. Third characteristic, the distribution, where press releases are typically distributed, whether it's to media outlets, news services, and as well as directly to the journalists. And once it's sent out to through various channels, it can pretty much include email, press release, distribution services, or the company's website itself. Number four, the objective. So obviously, every goal that a press release needs to do is to be able to generate media coverage that focuses on the public interest of the news when it's announced, and its aim is to provide journalists with enough information to write the story about the topic. Credibility, the fifth characteristic. Press releases are expected to be factual, accurate, and they should be written in a clear and a concise manner. Sometimes, and beware, misleading or exaggerated information can be damaging to an organization's reputation. Number six, the timing, the sixth characteristic. Press releases are often timed to coincide with a specific event or news cycle, and they may be released in advance to allow media outlets to prepare all of these stories for publication, either at a particular date or a specific time. And finally, the seventh element, which is multimedia elements, where press releases sometimes include images, videos, infographics, or any other relevant component to enhance the story and to make it more engaging for reporters and the general public. And as we all know, press releases are such an important tool because it controls the messaging and engages the media to promote their initiatives, products, services, announcements, mission, or whatever it is relevant to them. And then when you create a press release that is well crafted, effective, and targeted, press releases can actually help organizations gain media coverage and reach a much broader spectrum audience. The structure of the press release is so crucial because it effectively communicates your news to the media and the general public. And having a well structured media release has to follow a standard format that is very easy for journalists to understand and use as a basis for their story. Now we're gonna go into the next part, which is the structure of the press release. How does it look? Typically, press releases can be written in a Word doc or in a Google Doc, and then they can be transferred to a PDF. When you email your press release to a reporter or via a news distribution website, it is incredibly important, to copy and paste it and put it in the body of the email. Journalists cannot stand attachments. You want to make it very easy for them to access, and as well as easy for them to effectively read. And so when you are creating your press release, it is really important for you to understand the basic structure for how a press release needs to be put together. And so the first part in formulating your press release is the release heading, whether it is for immediate release or embargo information. Typically, that goes on the very top of your Word document on the left hand side. If it's for immediate release, indicate it that it needs to go immediately. If it's under embargo, make sure that you put embargo and then the date and the time when is it going to be published specifically. Typically, if a news release is under embargo is when an exclusive with a specific media outlet is going to be publishing a story, and then once that story is published, then the release, which is under embargo, goes live, and then you can distribute it across other mediums. The second component is the date line, which includes the city and the state where the press release is being issued, and as well as to when the publishing date of the press release. And that can also be included in the lead paragraph if you want to. Ironically enough, I actually said that was the third component, the lead paragraph. Number 4 is the text of the press release. This is where the heartbeat of your press release is going to entail. So this is where you're going to be following and detailing the most important and significant information about your news in the following paragraphs. And there you need to provide context, background, quotes from important individuals, and as well as any relevant statistics or data to support the news or announcement that you are making. Very important when you do this in the body text, please incorporate the 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, and why. Why being the most important one because it is the heartbeat of your story. And it is really important when you incorporate these 5 W's. And sometimes, if you want to add the how, you'll be able to offer with specific details the roadmap as to what you want the journalists and as well as the general public to know about your announcement, who is going to be involved, when does it launch, what's the purpose of it, and why is it being brought up in the first place. The fifth component is quotes, where obviously you add your key senior executives or relevant experts, and it will just add further credibility and the human element to the story. And it should be attributed and enclosed in quotation marks. The sixth component is the boilerplate, which includes a brief paragraph of your organization, standard description, which includes the mission, history, values, and other key elements. And the boilerplate is typically the same in every single press release, and it doesn't change much. You can just copy and paste it. Number 7, the contact information. Everybody knows about that. Contact, all of the media contact details, your name, phone number, email address, etc. The end notation. At the very end of the press release, before you add the boiler point and the media contact details, you could use either the -30- or the dial-in symbol to indicate the end of the release. Additional information, which is optional. I don't add that, but it's up to you if you want to add that piece into the press release. And finally, of course, the company logo or any media assets. Again, this is also another optional part if you want to incorporate that. It just adds further design aesthetics to your press release. And remember, having a press release should be clear, concise, and factual. Try to avoid using any jargons, and journalists very much appreciate press releases that are well organized, effective, efficient, and just provides all the necessary information to write the story and tailor that press release to that specific audience that you're trying to address. Consider your press release as an introduction for readers if they are actually reading a article from a magazine or a newspaper. Tailor your press release to mirror what the journalist is actually going to write. This is what the readers are actually going to be focusing on. And so you want to make sure that, and this is again something that we're going to be focusing on in season 2, is how as a PR pro you become an expert for the journalist. You want to become a primary resource, and one of the ways to do that is through an effective press release. That is how you start building the relationship and you start becoming a trustworthy figure that the reporter can rely on. And so we now shift as to why organizations need to know how to do a press release. And it comes down to having these 10 reasons. Number 1, obviously, the media coverage. It is the most effective way to obtain the attention of reporters. And when you have something very newsworthy to share, that press release is going to increase the likelihood of you being covered by the media, and will also open the door for you to obtain a much broader audience and increase that credibility. It is pretty much that brand footprint, that third media option that organizations will love to have, and it's free. You can never go wrong with having additional media coverage. Number 2, controlled messaging. Obviously, having the organization allows you, being an organization, it gives you the power to control the messaging regarding these announcements and drafting them in a way that is exactly clear, concise, and through your voice and tone. Give key details that you want to convey in the way that audiences ought to consume it. You control the message, 100% control. Number 3, transparency. It pretty much demonstrates that you as an organization are very open, transparent, and you are willing to share important information, which will further enhance your credibility. Number 4, SEO benefits. It improves your online visibility and your search engine ranking. We now know how important it is to obtain an SEO ranking, so that way people can find you much better and be able to inquire about your services or increase web traffic, whatever sales or marketing goals you may have. Number 5, archiving and reference is pretty much having a press release which will be added to your historical records and for people to easily find you. Number 6, investor relations. Especially if you work in a publicly traded company, press releases are so essential to investor relations. They are used to disseminate any kind of financial results, updates on corporate governance, mergers and acquisitions, or any other relevant information that can impact shareholders and key investors. Number 7, crisis communications. Press releases can be instrumental during times of crisis, and they allow organizations to quickly disseminate any kind of info to the media and public to be able to control the narrative and address any concerns that pop up proactively. Number 8, branding and reputation management. By having a press release and having it regularly issued, it could further reinforce your organization's brand and reputation. And if you continue to share any kind of positive news, you can pretty much shape as to how the public will perceive your organization. Remember, PR pros have the power to shape-shift narratives and perceptions. I said this during the very first episode of The Communicator, and it is one of the most important attributes that we as QPR pros have. We have the power to change people's mindsets. Number 9, legal and regulatory compliance. Some industries and jurisdictions have legal requirements for organizations to disclose certain information to the public. And finally, audience engagement. Press releases that are not only for journalists, but they can also target and engage audiences directly. And so, whether you post it on your website or share it across social media, releases can reach customers, the general public, who want to pretty much stay informed about your organization. And so, yes, while the media landscape has most certainly evolved with the rise of digital media, press releases still very much remain a valuable tool for PR. They very much complement each other, providing communication strategies and building a structured, reliable structure to enhance important news and be able to display it across both traditional and online media outlets. And so while people converse as to what exactly they want to put it, we can't say no to a press release. Safe and simple. Well, we have reached the very end of episode number 15 of The Communicator. Do you happen to have any questions, comments, anything you agree or disagree with? What topic should I focus on next? Any feedback is highly welcome. Just email me at yr.ymedia@gmail.com. The email is listed in the episode description. And don't forget to follow me on social media and across all channels and publications. Go back and hit those subscribe buttons right now as we continue to elevate this podcast. Leave a 5-star rating, and very much so. I will see you next time on the opposite end of the corporate communication spectrum, and I look forward to seeing you again for the season 2 premiere of The Communicator in spring 2024. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you all again in 2024. Till then.